Good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this hot seat talk on cybersecurity. Here beside me, I have Mr. Tomás Roy, Director for the agency, the Cybersecurity Agency of Catalonia. And online, we have our colleague, Mr. Llachtissi, who is the CEO for Africa and CIO for Claim, but he's also an angel investor. Thank you very much for joining. Cybersecurity has been on the lips of everybody for a very long time. I remember the Brexit referendum in the UK. I've remembered the elections in the United States of North America. And most times we don't realize, that speaking about cybersecurity is also speaking about risk management. We've realized also that due to the pandemic, we have had to undertake many changes in order to address and continue with our businesses during nearly 2 years. This has brought new vectors into the picture when it comes to potential attacks. Now, it is very true that the very large enterprises already have a risk management department or individuals or consultancy looking at risk and obviously including the cyber security. But what happens with the smaller and medium-sized enterprises, what we know here in Spain as pymes? And for many, they do not understand the potential risk until it happens. And the cost is extremely high. On the one hand, we have the reputational cost, and that doesn't have price. We've also got the productivity cost when our operations close down due to the attack. And then the other is the cost of repairing the damage that has been done. So today we have some great experts that I would very much appreciate that they start explaining to us a little bit whether this Mediterranean region is more propense or what idiosyncrasies this region has in terms of attacks, and what are the potential threats for the small and medium-sized enterprises in the region. So, Mr. Roy, if you'd like to start here.
Okay, I can try to do it. First of all, it's true that we have an item which is cybersecurity that perhaps is in the sexiest moment, no? Because we who are been working in this field for so many years, we are now recognized for bad news, no? Because there are a lot of victims, and they are really near to us, and also the cybercrime is also every time more close and to our reality, no? And so it should be a moment very easy to develop business and to do awareness. But it's true that the small and medium enterprise, they are not engaging this challenge on protection. Main causes are costs, or the complexity. They feel that they cannot afford or they cannot manage this kind of issue, no? And it's true. It means, and especially when everybody's saying that very near there is a big crisis, no? So they are thinking perhaps we cannot invest on cybersecurity if we are just trying to digitalize or doing other priorities, no? Which is a mistake, but it's difficult to analyze, but it's true that it's happening. On the other side, from the investing point of view, what better than having a market of no users, no? That you know perfectly that they will be your clients, absolutely. It's a matter of time. No? And I like very much the claim, no? The time is now. I mean, in cybersecurity, everything is happening now. We have now a regulation and compliance that is one of the main risks. The second risk is cybersecurity for companies. And now regulation will ask for cybersecurity, and cybersecurity is the second risk. So cybersecurity has doubled the risk for the companies, no? And it will really ask to everyone in the Cyber Resilience Act, for example, for all digital elements, hardware, software, not in any kind, to have some kind of certification and to be to harden all this digitalization. No? So all the regulation is coming and will make the difference. No? And I think that that is a very good moment to have a strategy on investing on cybersecurity, because everything is not just because incidents happens, because also the regulation will be mandatory, and now is the time to try to get all these no users that will be asked just for survive or just for compliance to enroll in cybersecurity, but it must be done in a different way, because we must understand that the traditional cybersecurity cannot be affordable. So we cannot continue with this error. I mean, if small and medium enterprises are not enrolled, it's because it's not affordable. So this is why strategy is innovation, no? How we will push for a different, disruptive way to handle these threats and allow to democratize it in an affordable way, trying to do it different and to different users. No? I think this is the challenge.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Laktisi, what is your thoughts on the challenges and why the small and medium-sized enterprises are not seeing cybercrime or digital crime as a big risk?
Yeah, thank you very much for your invitation. It's really a pleasure to be participating in this panel. First of all, I had the chance to see the discussion that was before, talking about brain drain, and I think there is something which we are not aware of right now, which is happening right now, which is what I can call the data drain. Just to give you an example, we made a study in Morocco. More than 99.98% of data produced in Morocco is being owned by companies in the US, in maybe China, and in other countries. And this can be a huge risk, not only for the enterprises themselves, because of course, getting the data is also getting the power, and getting as well the wealth. I mean, if the data and the information was more a source of power before, I think now it's also a source of power, but also a source of wealth. So this is a key element that we need to understand. Cybersecurity is not only about being independent, but it's also about being competitive for enterprises and being sovereign for countries. I don't know who said this, but as you know, the one who will be kind of mastering this data and artificial intelligence war will be kind of dominating the world. And this was said by a politician. I think it's totally true. What we're seeing now in in our region is a kind of a big problem in terms of how we produce data, how we capture it, and how we transform it. And if we're not able to master these steps by using the right tools and by not allowing others to access the data, the internal data of the company, or the internal data of the administration, the public administration, of the ministry or of the country, I think it will represent a huge threat for our economies and also for our sovereignty. I think right now what we're not really aware of is the next war. If the current war is more natural resource wars, the next wars will be more about data. And being able to secure it in the best way possible, being able to transform it and to use it in the best possible way is something which will be key for both, as I said, organizations, but also for countries. So again, the good news here is that the investment in cybersecurity right now, I think, is kind of possible to be done by SMEs. We have a lot of open source software that is available, and it's possible for small enterprise for very low cost to be able to secure using their own tools. But again, I mean, just to go back to this, let's say, big picture, I think a lot of countries now are, if you allow me, under protectorate from a digital point of view, because they are securing their whole data and information based on tools that they don't master and they can be used against them. And as you said, and this is very key, what happened during the American election, during the Brexit, is a proof of how important securing data is key to our economies and also to our existence as countries, as regions. That's why I think it's really important to think about it, to have initiatives from the private sector, maybe in the SME fields, but in the SME level, but also in big enterprises and also in the public or administrations and ministries. I think it's really key to work on that, and this is something that, from my point of view, will be key for our sovereignty in the next years.
Thank you very much.
May I,
please.
just something, just, I agree absolutely with the sovereignty, but it's true that when we think on the cybersecurity management, no, all the life cycle, I mean, not just protection, prevention, detection, response, recovery, this is cybersecurity. I mean, if a small and medium enterprise has all the software free, they will have a lot of costs. I mean, for compliance and for monitoring, detecting, doing analysis, threat intel, and they will have also to have people that will be responsible of. So there are solutions. I think that it's not just enough of tools, but is how to take this advantage of these models of business that are as a service. I mean, you can have tools as a service or free, but you can have security operational centers as a service, and you can have CISO responsible as a service. I mean, and you can go also to the cloud, where all the compliance cost will be offered you in the price, and you don't have to implement them. But however, I think that this is how we are running in a normal way. I think that we must innovate and trying to do it in some way that it's not just management, but there is something that is from other, that you don't have to deploy so much, but it's something that is more easy, no? Behavioral or something that for them is easier, no? And today we have this leverage that you can have all the benefits without investing so much, no? It's not always a cost on tools, no? But it's all the picture today is complex, so we must do it more accessible, no? But I agree absolutely that is a matter, it's a big matter, it's a big issue of sovereignty, and I think that this is something that in the Mediterranean we share, because UK, Israel, and United States are absolutely above everything. I think that in Europe there are 60 companies out of 500 top in cybersecurity. 60 of them. The opportunity is trying to compete, to defend, no? And I think that we are in the same problem. I mean, we are all in some way we difficult to protect our data today, although the compliance and the laws protects them, no? And I think that we are fellows on that, how to become more sovereign. And I think that all the Mediterranean basin can work together to be in a different, not just consume, but also offer and protect ourselves.
Create a unique platform, that's what you're saying, virtually.
At least platforms that we own them and we can protect.
Okay. Because obviously the region cannot have sovereignty, because speaking about different nations. I know that, there's that saying that the hacker's always one step ahead of security. And naturally, some say they're paid by governments, others, depending on the threats and the attacks, some of them are just games trying to frighten. But as you said, it's about stealing or selling data. Now, what happens if we started using blockchain in the small and medium size? Would that reduce the level of attacks in any way?
From my point of view, blockchain is something that has been security by design, okay, and some of them also privacy by design. I think whatever that is built for securing data is very interesting approach, and for us is really interesting. The problem with blockchain is that it's not easy to find out where to use it in an efficient way and in a sustainable way. I mean, today blockchain demands a lot of energy sometimes, no? And it's also, we have digitalization and sustainability, no? So, but I think the big issue, and every of them are moving, also Ethereum, for example, have changed there absolutely, to be more sustainable and to find out user case, business case that are more that you can apply all of them. But for traceability, it's an excellent, or also identity and transactions, as you have seen. And in some ways, I could say also for cybercrime.
Thank you very much. And another question for you, Mr. Lestisi. When you spoke about sovereignty, I had quite a number of students one day saying that the most optimum way of managing or mitigating the potential attacks would be by some of the big blocks, power blocks, let's say United States of North America, China, the Russian Federation, to have their own Internet of Things, and Europe have theirs, so that there would be a kind of control where we'd stop sharing the data between nations and therefore reduce the potential of cyber attacks, because a lot of them, at least from what the media says, are politically provoked, if I may say so.
Yeah. I totally agree with this approach. Again, first we need to understand that we're talking about big blocks. We're talking about the US from one side, China from the other side. These two countries are acting in the different levels, which start from the submarine cables, to the data centers, and going also to the applications. An application like TikTok and an application like Facebook are competing in terms of how much data they are getting, in order how much information about different users and different people in different countries they are getting. So this is a first level of competition. Russia is having a different approach because they're more working on a cybersecurity solution and solution for hackers and so on. So it's a completely different approach. But China and the US are now trying to capture the maximum amount of data, and they try also to get the maximum amount of data from the different sites. I mean, from the region's perspective, we need to have, for example, sovereign data centers, either for Europe or for the Mediterranean region, and we can have a multilateral approach between either companies or government that will allow this type of collaboration to be done. Just to give you an example, I invested in two different startups in the field of cybersecurity. One of them is in the UEM side, which is Unified Endpoint Management. And now we're building a collaboration with other countries in the Arab world in order to kind of create a common sovereign type of solution where it can be used first. Everyone have access to the code. It's kind of a closed source type of approach where everyone can has access to the code, so he can protect his tools and know what exactly is going on. And at the same time, it's a solution where the investment, because we need not to forget that the type of investment in this type of solution are huge. So we're not talking about millions of dollars. I think it's more in the 10 millions if we want to invest in big type of solutions. So it's I think very important. I mean, you remember also the war, for example, between the US and China about Huawei, about the 5G networks in the last year, where the US kind of banned Huawei from being able to either deploy network or deploy their smartphone or use their smartphone in the US. Again, of course, they didn't do this directly, but they banned them from using all American tools and so on. So this type of approach, I think one of the key elements that we need to have is to start to be pragmatic about this type of solution. It's not about, I mean, again, if we go to the whole digital transformation scenario as it is built now, or we will lose all access to most of our data as enterprises, as countries, and so on. So I think it's really important to be pragmatic, to try to build some kind of common regional powers that will be working on common solution and will allow to build some at least some level of sovereignty at this level. To go back to what was said before, I think it's important to say something. It's the cost needs to shift from the tools to the advice. And as one of the late Moroccan kings said, the wisest man is the one who seek for advice, because the tools or the weapons, we can find them everywhere. So I think it's really important for small companies and for big enterprises and for countries to be more looking for advice, because as I said, a lot of tools are there, but of course, they need to be implemented in the best way possible. Of course, some of them are paid. I'm not talking, I mean, not everything is open source, not everything is cloud-based, but some of them are paid. But I think what is most important is really to have the advice to mitigate the risk that we can be enduring if we rely only on one type of solution or one type of platforms.
If I can, I think that you were speaking about big blocks, no? But the trends now are zero trust. I mean, don't trust neither whom is in your company, in your network, or they are already inside. No, so I think that what the solutions that now are being deployed tries to develop zero trust solutions or encapsulating those environments where cybersecurity cannot be guaranteed. So most of the attacks are done because lack of segmentation or where you can separate environments. No, so when someone attacks, for example, a supply chain, a supplier, it gets access to an infinitum number of clients, servers, resources. So I think that it's a trend. So I think that Internet was built to offer services, and now we are going to offer secure services, no? Because it's demanded. I mean, I think that users, we must do a lot of work in awareness to them, but I think that users prefer secure services than and secure services. No? And I think that all the technology is going towards that, connected industry, mobility, everything, communications, will try to offer in every point security. No? So it's something that I think that the old times of an open internet is not sustainable. It will not be cannot be protected. So everyone will have to participate in their own protection, like we do physically. I mean, because if not, it's not possible to do. So I understand. I mean, I know that countries, geopolitical wars, hybrid wars, will be absolutely important, but people is important by themselves, and I think that they want to be active on their protection, and it's the cheapest way to protect something, to make them participate. But it must be done in a way that they don't have to study, but it can be as easy as we have demonstrated that, that, for example, an iPhone, no, a smartphone has not manual, and everybody's using it, no? So we must do a different approach to make everyone to participate in their own protection, and others, liars, will do our job. If not, it's not possible for whom are working on protection, on cybersecurity, to do all the work. It's impossible, no? So we must not make fear everybody or make them that the problem cannot be avoidable, but understanding everyone which is their part, and they must be active, no, on that, with solutions, with clever solutions, products, services, that are very good opportunities to invest on.
Thank you very much. I agree that I think everybody needs to be part in finding the solution to create that safe environment or ecosystems, you know, by segmentation, so on and so forth. But where does the responsibility lay? You're speaking about sovereignty, both of you. Cybersecurity per se is a great business today because people need to protect their data. But what responsibility do governments have in terms of that safety? You know, what is their role going to be in terms of regulations, policies? What is the role of government? Is it just the role of private enterprises trying to find solutions to create this safe environment?
From our point of view, like public government, of course, it's interesting, but when a law arrives, normally it's really late, but it's powerful, but it's late, okay? So I think that doing a public-private partnership and having any kind of fundings that you can activate are one of the main activities the government must do, also with a talent strategy. No? The problem is that today, the good news are that we are flood of funds, but it's impossible to reach them, or difficult. No? So the problem is not having fundings on cybersecurity. It's not just for private investors, but there are plenty of opportunities. I tried to do a list, and I said, no, we don't have time to list all the fundings that are for cybersecurity investments for companies, to protect them, to develop solutions, to everything, to train, for governments, for everyone. There are fundings, but in the time you need to get them, and the effort is so difficult that they don't arrive, or they are not willing to do. This is perhaps is easier to defend from an attack that present to a tendering, no, for funding, no. So I think that this is one of the lack that the public administration has, no, that all this money must be given to companies and academia, because it cannot be done from the government. The reactivation, the industry must lead all this ecosystem, no? And all the partners we can have, the alliance we can build. And this money must be easy to be...
accessible.
Yes, accessible. Thanks for the word.
Okay. What do you think, Mr. Maglachtichi?
I totally understand, but I mean, I have a different perspective. I think governments have a lot of things to do here, especially in the cybersecurity field. When we see what's happening in China and Russia, a lot of initiatives are public backed, both from an investment point of view, but also from a buying point of view. I think generally governments, to create a new ecosystem, they need to be put in at least 4 types of infrastructure. The first one is the technological infrastructure to allow the access to technology, to different types of technologies as much as possible. Second is the regulation infrastructure. And I think a lot of governments did, and this was the case of the US last year and in different years, where regulation can help kind of at least give some kind of how short-term protection to existing ecosystem to evolve. The third level is the investment and financing infrastructure. And here, I think it's really important that when we talk about cybersecurity, the investments are higher than most of and riskier than most of other type of startup investments. So I think either creating funds specialized in this type of fields or kind of doing funding by guaranteeing some public buy-in from different institutions can be also helpful in this field. And the fourth level is the talent and culture infrastructure. And here, of course, as much as we train different people in the cybersecurity field, both from the technological point of view, but also from the cultural point of view. And here I agree totally with you about the fact that, what you said about the human being as a center of security. I generally tell a story which is
Mr. Lactisi, I'm afraid that we're running out of time now. I've just been informed, so it's only because just allow for people who'd like to ask raise any questions. I do apologize for cutting you out like this. Sorry. Does anybody have any questions? Nobody? Anybody online?
People want to know this history.
Okay, we have a question. Does we have a microphone, please?
So with the development of technology as of late and how cybersecurity has, of course, become a much bigger industry and people need to be more aware of understanding how to protect their data, and a lot of people actually catching on to, oh, how does Google make their money? Oh, they're actually selling our data for personalized ads. A lot of this has actually happened due to education of the topic. So would you think that investment in regards to education in regards to cybersecurity would be an effective method in combating, well, most companies just not having the educational value of understanding what cybersecurity is? Because, well, of course, as you develop as a company, let's say you're somebody from an older generation who doesn't understand technology as well, they likely don't have the, well, savviness of what the younger generation do in terms of education with, as mentioned before, cybersecurity. So again, would training programs potentially help with mass education of the topic?
This is one of our strategy points on focus. Let me share also with you that it isn't not enough. I mean, we must have an open, wide, 360 degrees strategy, but one of our main pillars is education and awareness and training, and it's something that I think is very natural on governments. No? So we are doing that, several campaigns to different public, but what we have realized is it has level. We can improve so much on that, but it's not the only solution we can put in place. There is a point where you cannot go farther, no, because it needs, or at least an innovation also there. We must activate and do an experience from the users, not just trying to educate them, no, because they have plenty of stimulus, no.
Mr. Lahdisi, what do you think? Do you think education is going to potentially reduce cyber attacks, or is the financial bonanza of the attack more attractive than the ethical approach?
You will allow me to talk about the story, but it will take 30 seconds. So
please,
when the Chinese built the Great Wall, which is the biggest architectural building that was built since the beginning of humanity, they built it to get protected from the invasion of enemies. The problem is that after the years after they built the wall, they underwent 3 invasions. When they inspected the question, they found that the enemy didn't need to escalate the wall. They just bribed the guard. So the idea is that it's important to have the building to protect, but if you don't have the right mindset in the human beings who are there, of course, if you have only the human being without the building, it will not protect anything. But having both is really critical to cybersecurity. So both training the people, but also building the tools.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much for your participation, albeit remotely. It goes to show how great technologies are. So thank you very much indeed. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.